If you want to check out different content from myself, I've just set up a second channel where I'm going to post fitness and things. The link for that will be in the description. And of course, if you want to avoid the random lottery of FIFA points, you want to go straight to the source, buy the players directly, use u7buy.com and use the code TVM at checkout. What is going on, guys? TVM here. Welcome back to a player review, would you believe? I think I'm going to do this type of thing probably every day now until the launch of the demo, and then we'll have a look at some players on the demo and start doing sort of FIFA 21 stuff. But today I've decided to take a look at Kalvin Phillips' Team of the Season card. It wasn't a card that I picked up when it was first released. It was quite expensive up until fairly recently. The big drop-off in Team of the Season cards happened around, well, in May it started, the drop-off, because he was released obviously late April. The big drop-off in May and June, and they kept declining until then summer heat started around July time. The price, though, even at the start of July for Kalvin Phillips, on Xbox and PC, was nearly 250,000 coins, and it's only recently come down to around the price that he is now, which is, what, 190,000 coins. On PlayStation, he's always been cheaper. He's around 118k, and he has been under 100k around the end of July. But now that we are where we are, it's time for me to look at cards that I haven't looked at before. Maybe time for me to play with cards that I haven't played with in a long time. I've changed the camera angle slightly to be a little bit closer to the action, and that is helping with passing. If you have a problem, and you're still playing the game, you're looking for a little tip or whatever. If you have a problem with pass accuracy, and you're trying to pass, you're trying to play the game, and passes are going all over the place, it's not going where you want it to go, it could have something to do with the camera angle. If you were on a co-op camera angle, it's the best camera angle to sort of see where everyone's running and what have you, but it's not very good for passing. The reason I say that is because the arc of the pass is too wide. The game doesn't know where you want to play it. A slight movement on the stick direction-wise can send it all over the pitch. So the closer you are, the more accurate your passing is. The big gap in the middle of the squad, by the way, is an icon. I played Maradona in there. I played Del Piero and Zidane, as you can see down there on the reserves. Actually ran out of games on Maradona. So yeah, there are several icons that fit the bill there, because I just needed someone for chemistry, and I decided to play those. So what I've decided to do now from now on as well is, because sometimes, right, when I'm playing the game, I will focus a little bit more on the player that I'm reviewing, because, well, I'm reviewing him, so I want to try and get footage because I'm trying to make a video, right? So I will not necessarily force the ball, but sometimes I'll play one extra pass to get the ball to him. I suppose you could argue that that's a forced pass, but, sometimes I'll go back to him when normally I wouldn't, and you could argue that that was one of those times, but I don't think it was. I was just trying to use my midfield. But yeah, I will go back to a certain player or try and play it into a certain player. Like, for instance, there, if I was reviewing Jari Litmanen, I would have maybe looked to play the ball across with rush rather than going for goal. So what I've decided to do going forward is to include a lot more of the play. So rather than me cutting that clip short, because it doesn't even result in a goal, right? But rather than me cut the clip short on where Phillips was involved, I've spun it on so you can see how the attack progresses and what happens after that. Obviously, if nothing happens and it is literally a boring, we run into a cul-de-sac and end up getting tackled, and then they come back and then we tackle them, blah, 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 then yeah, of course, fine, I will leave it. But in this situation, for example, Phillips was heavily involved twice, and overall, I was actually very impressed with his capabilities as a CDM. He played in a 4-2-3-1, he was a CDM, his instructions were stay back while attacking, cut pass in lanes and cover centre. So he's always in the centre of the park, always in the middle, always looking to drop into any gap left by a centre-back or by a midfielder. Kante, for example, was the player next to him who's coming over to cover for Kante sometimes when that gap was left open. And he's always available there for a pass. Drops off, he's got a high defensive work rate, and his passing, despite the fact that he's got a very poor weak foot. Look at this from Litmanen, by the way. I'm gutted this didn't go in, but it was great footwork. And how he's, I was going to say how he hasn't scored is a miracle. It's not really. How he's even got that ball as close as he has done is a miracle. Good tackle again there by Phillips, and we progress on. That attack actually comes to nothing, so we've cut that short. But again, another interception. Very good at just lunging in, getting the ball. Doesn't lunge in unnecessarily either. Very, very good and calculated at doing that. Kante this time showing off his lunging prowess. Phillips plays the ball forward to Maradona, who's in at this point, and then away we go. And this results in a shot, I think, for Kante, who originally won the ball back, and it was a good effort as well. But I mean, it's difficult for me to say, 480k, because on PlayStation he's like 120k. So there is a massive gap between Xbox, PC and PlayStation in terms of prices. But for the money, if we look at an average of around 50,000 coins for this player, it's not bad value. It's just a bit of a tricky one for me because he plays in the Championship. Okay, I know Leeds have been promoted in real life, and of course next year this will be a Premier League card. Awesome, but we're not talking next year, we're talking this year. So at the moment, the links are not too easy to come by. There are, of course, a few options. You do have that Fulham left back if you've decided to do that. Byron, of course. You could go pick him up from the SBCs, or if you have done already, because I think he's probably expired by now. If you have done, you get a reasonably good link in there, nice strong link. That's one way of doing it. There are a couple of other decent Championship Team of the Season cards as well. A few icons knocking about that you could be using, of course. So chemistry isn't as bad as what it would be maybe in the first few months of the game. So I take that on board, but it's still a Championship player, so it's still not the easiest to fit into teams. If you don't have any usable icons and you didn't do the left back, then you may run into a few problems. The weak foot and the skill moves, definitely something to take note of. Did it bother me? The weak foot, maybe. You know, it would have been nice to have a 4-star weak foot, maybe, but it's not the end of the world. I didn't feel like it ruined the card completely, but it was just something else worth jotting on top of the fact that it's a Championship card. Therefore, the links aren't going to be that easy. So, when you combine both of those with the stocky body type, which for a CDM isn't bad at all, right? And I'm not saying that this hinders the card in any way, because it doesn't really. The only situation I found that it was a problem in was when I had a fast, agile attacker coming at me after an interception, and I need to do a very quick drag back. He's not as quick doing it as someone like Kante is, who doesn't have a stocky body type. So in FIFA 20, hopefully it changes for next year, but in FIFA 20, I'm really hoping, in FIFA 21, sorry, I'm really hoping that the body types don't have such an impact. But in this game in particular, unfortunately, he does feel a little bit slower than perhaps he would do if he had an average body type. It's not game-breaking, it's not a sort of card-ruining scenario, but just something worth taking note of. Interceptions, passing, positioning, his composure and his strength, all fantastic. It is a really good card. Of just everything considered, there are probably better cards out there for the money. But all in all, if you're a Leeds fan in particular, you're going to be loving this, and I would actually recommend you try it if you can obtain it cheaply. That's going to do it for today. If you have enjoyed this player review and is he worth it, then do me a favour and hit the like button. Suggest players in the comments by all means. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, and until the next time, goodbye.
Football Index. The game changed. Download the app now.